All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dakota here with oldluxvani.com, coming at you live today from beautiful, sunny Las Vegas, Nevada, with a super controversial video. A video that no other marketing agency, guru, coach, business consultant, or anyone else seems to want to cover. Video that's probably actually going to impact our sales negatively here at LuxVani. But as I've always been kind of the person that makes a promise to bring real data, real facts, and real truth to this industry, I want to bring that data today to talk about how 90% of businesses fail. And as you watch this video right now, I want to talk about how there's a 90% chance that your business will fail. And what this truly means is that if you know 10 business owners right now, within 5 years from today, from this video, 9 of those friends of yours will have failed. Another crazy statistic that I want to mention is only 9% of all businesses in the US will surpass $1 million a month in revenue. Only 9%. Only 1% of all businesses in the US will surpass that $10 million mark. And here's the most crazy statistics of them all. As entrepreneurs, we all got into business to have freedom, to make money, and to innovate, and of course, build great products and services. However, the average salary of a business owner today in America is $60,000 a year, which, by the way, is the same exact average wage of an employee here in America. Now, again, as I promised, I want to bring these facts to you, but this is the bad news. The bad news is the odds are stacked against anyone who is trying to build a product or service-based business. Now, through luxvani.com and my personal consulting practice, I have gone in and consulted and built nearly 9 8-figure enterprises at this point. And what I want to do on today's video is I want to take you behind the scenes of that and give you a framework of exactly why these businesses fail. A to Z, top to bottom. And then you'll be able to take this insight and make sure you execute some of these strategies so you can stack the deck in your favor and make the success of your business inevitable. So the first reason why majority of businesses fail is it comes down to personality, it comes down to beliefs, it comes down to mindsets around fixed mindsets, growth mindsets, and there's a lot of psychology at play here that really sets up an entrepreneur to make it or break it. So the first thing that we really have to talk about is personality temperaments, right? A big 5 type indicator for an example. And when we're talking about personality temperaments and we're looking at a big 5 psychometric assessment, the things that it rates you on is based off 5 key things of personality. The first one is conscientiousness. The second one is neuroticism. The third one is extroversion. The fourth one is agreeableness. And the fifth one is openness. Now, you're probably wondering, how does this relate to business failure or business success? But there is direct correlation here between founders who possess certain personality temperaments and achieve massive things in the field, right? So as an entrepreneur or a business owner getting into this, you have to understand yourself. So what I'd highly encourage you to do is below this video, in the description of this video, there is going to be a link to a big 5 type indicator. So you can take that psychometric assessment and truly understand yourself to see if you even have the right personality for entrepreneurship. And if you don't, that doesn't mean you won't be successful, but that will mean you will need a partner to complement your other personality temperaments so you can achieve something truly great through your organization. Now, the first thing here is if you're getting into business, one of the most important traits that an entrepreneur can have that really translates into success is conscientiousness. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be someone who is organized, who is practical, who can see things in a way and be very conscientious of their surroundings, of the people around them, and everything in between. So if you score very low in conscientiousness, the odds of you building a super successful business is little to none. The second facet that's very important to being an entrepreneur is neuroticism. Neuroticism is negative beliefs. It's negative emotions, right? And when we're talking about neurotic people, they are typically people that are filled with anxiety. They hate the unknown. They suffer from depression. They are typically pessimistic people. They're not very optimistic, and they suffer from a lot of these issues that this personality deal can kind of provide, whether it's vices, whether it's alcohol, whether it's ups and downs when it comes to their emotions. And one of the things that I want to mention here is when it comes to being an entrepreneur, you gotta really think about this. You are taking a vision and trying to create something that you can't even see. Everything is the unknown. It's compromised of nothing but the unknown. So if you're someone who scores above average in neuroticism, you are going to struggle. It's going to kill you. You're not going to like the person you become when it comes to being an entrepreneur, because it is the unknown. It is sacrifice. You're not going to have control. You're going to have constant conflict in your life, and it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed. So just keep that in mind. And when you go through that assessment, if you score very high in neuroticism, I would highly recommend don't jump into an entrepreneurial venture, because it's not just about that. It's about happiness. It's about fulfillment, right? The next third one that we have on a Big Five type indicator is extroversion. This is more of a positive emotion. This is how you lead people. Extroverted people are very influential. They're very persuasive. They're great leaders. They're great founders in an organization because they can rally a team and really get people to attack a vision with certainty. That's very important. Now, I'm not saying you have to be extremely extroverted to be a successful founder. There's Elon Musk. There's tons of other introverts that are successful founders. But what I'm saying is the more extroverted you are, the better you're going to be with people. And unfortunately, people make up companies. Companies don't make up companies. People do. So you've got to be a master of people. You've got to be a master of your C-suite, your middle management. You have to be a great leader. And of course, being more extroverted will help with that. Now, this is not a make it or break it. So if you don't score high in extroversion, that doesn't mean don't start a business, but it just means you're going to need someone to compliment you to get the real results that you're after. The next one is agreeableness. This is a very important personality facet when it comes to entrepreneurship. If you are overly agreeable, and let's say you score very high in agreeableness, you're not going to like conflict. You're not going to like to push the envelope. And when it comes to startup mode, sometimes you have to chase, push boundaries until they push back, and then press them to more until they break. And sometimes there's compliance issues with that. However, there is direct correlation. The more disagreeable you are, the higher your income will be. The more disagreeable you are, the higher you are to rank very high and be promoted through a corporate hierarchy, as in a corporate organization, if you will. So it pays to be disagreeable. And if you're a salesperson, for example, and you score very high in agreeableness, guess what happens when you get an objection? You agree, you don't get the sell. The more disagreeable you are, now you're going to provide a rebuttal to the objection. You're going to challenge the prospect, coach the prospect, and get the prospect to do something they've never done before in order to get something that they've never gotten before, right? So it does help to be very disagreeable as a founder. So keep that in mind. Now, this isn't a make it or break it, but I will say the more agreeable you are, the more likely you are to be manipulated, the more likely you are to not really challenge your people and push the envelope of what's truly possible for your organization. So just keep that in mind. The last one here is openness. This is the fifth personality facet that a Big Five type indicator looks for. And when it comes to openness, if you score low in openness, you're more practical, you're more traditional. If you score high in openness, you value art, you're innovative, you're open to new things, open to new ideas. And this can help you. If you are extremely open, it can help you be a better entrepreneur because you can innovate. You can think more. You can think outside of the box. It can help you as a founder. I personally score a little low in openness. I don't value art. I don't value things of that nature. I'm kind of an average, to be quite frank. But, I'm very traditional and I'm very practical. And sometimes that may hurt my growth, but I've been successful thus far with it. But a lot of people on my team score very high in openness. So I'm surrounding myself with those people. I'm more practical, and we all work together and build something great. So the reason why personality is one of the reasons why businesses fail is the school system neglected to teach you about you. It is designed to teach you how to pass a test or fail a test. Well, the problem of that is in the real world, there is no pass or fail. You either win or you learn. So we go into the world and we don't understand that the real world doesn't care about a grade. It cares about persistence. It cares about dedication. It cares about moving from one failure to another and keeping that enthusiasm as you go. So the real problem here is this education system is built to create workers that go into these corporate environments and that remain a pawn and build someone else's dream instead of building their own. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being an employee whatsoever, but I'm saying if you do not understand your personality and you go to college and choose a major, and then you get into that major and you're $200,000 in debt and you realize it's something you don't like, you have no passion for it, you can't stand it, why would the education system teach you anything about this? Because when you change that major, guess what? They get paid again. That's what it's all about. So the real key here that you want to understand is it's very important for you to understand yourself. If you are extremely extroverted, you're not going to be someone who's going to major in computer science. If you are someone who's highly neurotic, you're not going to make it as an entrepreneur. If you score extremely low in conscientiousness, it's going to be very difficult for you to make it. So all of these personality facets have direct correlation to occupations, right? They all do. So I think it's vital that you understand yourself before you go jumping into a business that you're not made for, right? It's okay to get a job. It's okay to find fulfillment. It's okay to be happy. But there's some direct correlation between all that. So it's very important to understand. The second component of why these businesses fail is they have no understanding of how to generate leads and convert leads into profitable revenue. Majority of businesses go bankrupt. Why? Not because they don't have good products, not because they have bad services. Yes, in some cases, those things can correlate to that. But majority of the time, they go bankrupt because they run out of money. Well, let's look at cause and effect. If you're running out of money, it's typically because you probably can't generate enough customers to turn profit over, or you're mismanaging finances, right? But if you had a constant flood of qualified leads coming into your business and buying your product or services, your revenue would increase. If you were doing your job and fulfilling on those obligations correctly, your net profit would increase. Your LTV would increase, right? So without leads, you don't really have a business. And this is my problem with people. They spend years and all this money developing a company, a service, a product, but they never spend any effort in client acquisition. And to be quite frank, it doesn't matter how good your product or service is. If people don't know about you and you don't have the spotlight shined on you, what good does it do? Right? So the second reason is marketing. And when I talk about marketing, majority of businesses don't even understand the difference between a sales funnel and a website. So they have no funnel. They have no client acquisition system whatsoever. They're not leveraging marketing automation contingency plans. They have no email automation. They have no text message automation. They have none of that. The third thing is they don't have a CRM. They don't have a real CRM that provides them with the centralized dashboard so they can see all of their marketing key performance indicators, track all that data, and then, of course, make decisions based off true data as opposed to relying on their opinion, theory, and emotions, which is completely irrelevant and a false leading indicator when it comes to growing a business, right? Once they fail to set up all that, they have no funnel whatsoever, then they have no traffic. They have no organic traffic feeding them. They have no paid traffic feeding them. And then after all that, once they do get some data, they don't know anything about conversion rate optimization and how to optimize that data to continue to enhance their marketing efforts. That is the real second problem why businesses fail. If you want to generate leads, you have to focus on building a proper sales funnel. It's got to be built right. And when I say sales funnel, I don't mean a group of landing pages. Some businesses need sales funnel stacks. They need a funnel for cold traffic, warm traffic, hot traffic. They need a value ladder created. They need to preload their audiences properly. There's tons of stuff in here. But when I talk about a funnel, I mean it's a funnel based off a proven architecture. The second thing is it has marketing automation contingency plans. It has email automation. It has text message automation. And third, there's a real CRM to where you can actually track the damn performance of what's going on with the organization's marketing, right? That's a funnel. Those are the three components of an actual funnel. Now, once you get that built, guess what? You don't get paid based off how good your funnel looks or how good you think it looks. You get paid by driving qualified traffic to that funnel and converting that funnel into leads, prospects, and of course, cash. So you can have the best funnel in the world, but if you do not understand how to build organic traffic and how to run paid traffic, your business is never going to go anywhere. You're going to fall right into the category of the 90% of people who fail, right? That's going to happen time and time again. So it's very critical that you find an expert, even like us at luxvani.com. This is all we do. But it's very critical that if you do not have competence in these things, if you don't want to shorten the path and just partner with an expert who's done it a million times, then you need to go learn about these things. You need to learn about sales funnels. You need to go to our YouTube channel, consume all that content, learn about the funnel, learn how to build organic traffic strategies that don't really cost that much to produce, and also learn how to leverage ad platforms like Google Ads, YouTube ads, Facebook ads. Learn how to use those things to push qualified traffic to your funnel so you can actually generate some leads, some sales, and some cash and stay in business instead of relying on referrals and word of mouth and things that are not accountable, predictable, or measurable. So marketing, that is the second reason why 90% of businesses fail. The third reason why 90% of businesses fail is because they don't understand how to convert their leads into customers. So if you're selling a high ticket service, it doesn't matter if I give you 10 million leads a day. If you don't have the sales talent, the sales team, the right systems, the right methodology, you're not going to translate anything into cash. Leads are irrelevant. See, people look at business so black and white. There is some gray here. There is some talent. There is some expertise, knowledge to making this entire thing work. So the first step, you got to know your personality. The second step, you got to have leads. And the third step, you got to close those leads, right? Well, how do we close those leads? Well, the number one reason why people can't close, back to personality again, is they have the wrong personality facet for closing. If you are introverted, you should not be closing. If you score high in agreeableness, you should not be closing. If you are a neurotic person, how do you expect you can get on a phone call with complete certainty and confidence and close a deal when there is no guarantee that you're going to close that deal or not? How are you going to deal with rejection call after call when prospects smoke screen you, bullshit you, tell you they need to talk to the wife, the brother, the cousin, and everything in between? How are you going to maintain enthusiasm and keep pushing through that? It is impossible, right? The next piece to making that sales aspect successful is you need a proven methodology that is based off of psychology, not this bullshit that everybody's teaching. The key behind my success has been understanding the psychology of people, taking that science and that methodology and blending it into my marketing efforts and my sales efforts, right? So how do we do it on the sales end? Well, the first thing in is rapport. If you're jumping on these calls with these prospects and you got no energy, you got to remember you are selling confidence in an inconfident world. When you jump on that call, you're trying to break through the croc brain, which says, do I fight it? Do I run from it? Or do I get away from it as quick as possible? You got to break through that in the first couple of minutes of the call to make it into the limbic and the neocortex side of the brain, which is the emotional and the logical side of the brain. So in order to do that, you have to build rapport. People buy from people they like. You have to build that rapport. You have to be high energy. You have to be different than everyone else, right? Rapport is the key. The second piece to that process is you have to understand frame control. I meet so many salespeople that have no idea what frame control even is. You have to understand how to set the frame so the prospect remains subordinate and you win the frame so you can control the call. Whoever wins the frame controls the menu. Whoever controls the menu controls the outcome. If you're letting your prospects control you on the call, how can you expect to get them to do anything different? You're setting yourself up to fail. So you got to understand how to set a price frame, how to set a time frame, how to set a power frame, and how to use frame control by setting a proper agenda right after you build rapport with the prospect. Once we get that frame control set and we've won frame control and we're controlling the call, you then have to understand how to flip the script. Majority of people show up to a call thinking they're going to get sold. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Why don't you let the prospect tell you about the problems? Why don't you flip the tables and say, hey, John, listen, I got nothing to sell you today. This is just a discovery call. How about you spend a little time telling me about what you do, who you do it for, and how you do it so well. And then if I think there's some points of overlap between us, I can share those later on in the call. Fair enough? You just flip the whole script. Now the prospect gets to talk about himself. And guess what people like to talk about the most? Themselves. So now you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. The prospect's going to tell you everything you need to close them. All you got to do is listen. And then once they get through that, what comes natural? Elicitation. Leaded, loaded, assumptive questions to really get down to their current situation. Find where it's at. Agitate that current situation. Determine where it is at. And then, of course, define where their desired situation is. And we can bridge that gap through elicitation-based psychology, right? Once we get the elicitation out of the way, then we go into our demo. We make a presentation. We show them how our product and our service is the key from taking them from their current situation that they're not happy with to their desired situation, which is why they booked the call in the first place, right? So we have to do that in a bit of a narrative format. I see some of these demos that you guys send in that are 3-hour-long demos. Nobody's going to buy from a 3-hour-long demo. This is not about tech. This is not about technicals. This needs to make them understand and build the confidence that your demo is the key, your service is the key to getting them to their desired situation. Once you make the demo, then guess what comes? The close. You've got to close them. You're not doing this for fun. You're doing this to help them level their business up. So in your close, what does a close look like? Well, there's 1 option closes, there's 2 option closes, there are 3 option closes. Depends on your product and your service. But you should at least have a 2 option close. And you should at least tell the prospect about each one of these options, set some criteria in them, and let them tell you what they want. For example, if you're selling high-ticket coaching, and you have an $8,000 high-ticket product, and then you have a group coaching community that's $297 a month. When you get to your close, you should say, John, there's 2 ways we can help you. Option number 1, it's super extensive. It comes with a price. It comes with a higher commitment level from us and a higher commitment level from you, but it's the most popular package that we have and gets the most results. Or option number 2, if you're on a budget, if you still want to learn this stuff, if you still want to grow, but you want to get your toes wet, your feet wet before you dive all in, then here's option number 2. Which option do you see serving you the most? Now the prospect's going to tell you what you need to do to close them. They're going to tell you what they want instead of you trying to sell them something they're not interested in. So then you pitch them and close them on what they actually tell you they want. Now, guess what's going to happen when you do that? They're going to have an objection, a smoke screen, a stall. They're going to want to talk to their wife, their brother, their cousin, their uncle. They got to think about it. They got to mow the grass. They got to weed eat the yard. They need to take 10 weeks to do something. Majority of the time, these are stalls. Stalls. Because you haven't built enough confidence, or they don't have the confidence to make a decision right on that call. Okay? So when they give you that objection, the difference between salespeople and real closers that make $1 million a year is their ability to overcome objections with rebuttals and secure the deal that's in the best interest of the client, even if the client doesn't understand that it is in the best interest of them. At Lux Vani, we sell very complex services. Not everybody understands them, but that's okay. We're there to be good coaches. We're there to get people to do something they've never done before in order to get something that they've never gotten before. So the next time that you're on a sales call or you're training people to be on sales calls, you have to explain to them the importance of pushing a prospect and getting them into a deal that's best for them. I tell you this story. I was consulting for a company called Safe Life, and we had this individual that was all about voice of customer. She loved some voice of customer. But what people fail to realize is without a closer, you got no damn customers. So the voice don't matter, right? But what ended up happening here is we had a guy on the phone, and my guys did not press this individual very hard. He was a security guy. Money was the problem. It was a price objection. He said he could afford it, but it would put him in a tight spot, right? Took from his savings, if you will. Well, my guy Bobby at the time gets off the phone and lets this prospect go. 24 hours later, the prospect's at his security job, and he gets shot 2 times. Didn't have proper armor. So when he got shot, of course, the bullets penetrated the armor because it was cheap armor, and he spent quite some time in ICU. Now, thankfully, we sent the guy armor for free, but the following week when we got back to the office, I looked at Bobby, and I said, "You're not selling an armor. You're not selling a vest. You tell me who did the disservice in that situation. Did you do the disservice by not pushing? Or did you do the disservice by letting him get away? Like, who did the disservice there?" And Bobby looked at me and said, "Well, yeah, I kind of did. I kind of failed him because I could have got him to get the vest, and that would have prevented him from being hurt in ICU." And I said, exactly. So remember, it is your obligation, it is your duty to protect these folks. Even if they don't see it as protecting themselves, it's your job to be a good coach. And we failed that guy. So that's the type of confidence that you have to have in your organization. And you have to understand, if you have a good product and you have a good service, it is your job to help and support these people. So that is the key there. So that is the third reason why folks fail. First, wrong personality. Second, they got no leads. They don't understand marketing. Third, they can't convert the leads into actual sales. The fourth reason why 90% of businesses fail is because they don't understand how to successfully onboard and manage expectations with clients. Very important. The onboarding process sets the agenda for the entire relationship. If you're not explaining your mission and values, if you're not showing the customer your culture, if you're not setting realistic milestones and timeframes, if you're not building a connection with them on an intimate level, if you're not showing confidence in what they just bought, if you don't give them the clarification that they are after, and you don't remain compliant with the contract that you have in play, the deal is going to blow up. It doesn't matter how many people you bring in. You have bad onboarding processes and a bad onboarding system. So you're not setting expectations. You're getting mad and saying, "God, I hate clients. I hate clients. I hate clients." Well, the real reason you hate clients is because you can't set expectations with clients. Yes, some clients can be bad clients, but your most unsatisfied customers are the ones that you're going to learn from the most. Those are the ones you want to listen to. Instead of being egotistic and pumping your chest up and saying, oh, all these customers are wrong, you've got to own it, right? You've got to understand if you want the real result, you have to become the person capable of getting those results. So who you are right now may not be the person you need to be to make $10 million a year, to have a successful business, and you have to understand that. But that's the key. In your onboarding, you have to show that company culture of yours. You have to teach them. You have to show them what your mission and values are. You have to explain to them how you operate as a company, how to get good performance out of your company, the things you will deal with, the things you will not deal with, how they should conduct your staff and present to your staff, how communication goes, where is the communication found. And you've got to have confidence, provide them with clarity, and remain compliant to the contract or the scope of work that you agreed to. Very important aspect. Onboarding is important. And a lot of companies fail because they do not know how to successfully set expectations through their onboarding process. The fifth reason why 90% of businesses fail is, of course, fulfillment and systems. Very important aspect. And when I say fulfillment and systems, what I'm referring to is standardizing a business based off SOPs. You need SOPs in an organization, right? You need to have processes. And then once you determine those processes within an organization, you have to have a system that successfully runs that process. And then once you have a system that runs that process, you can add automation to that process to amplify how that system works. And then once you have the automation in play, you have to have governance of that actual system to make sure that people in your organization are using it, right? And then you've got to be proactive and focus on quality assurance, which is proactive. And then you have to also focus on quality control, which is reactive, making sure that everything has been gone through before it's presented to the client. And then you need performance management and, of course, communication. Now, this is a lot of stuff, as you can see. It's not just about selling products, selling services. There's a back end and there's a front end. And it takes mastery in all these aspects to truly have a successful business. Now, fortunately for us, what we have done is we're super talented in the front end, client acquisition, converting people into new customers. I haven't always been talented at the back end. But instead of being egotistic enough, what we have done is we have went out and found some of the most talented people in their single domains in this particular subject to support ourselves as well as our clients. An example, Elite Software Automation. One of the most talented companies on the planet when it comes to coming in and building back-end systems that actually support clarity and profit. That's what they're all about. So when you go to them and you have a high explosive growth company, they're able to come into your organization and build you real processes, build you a real system to run those processes, leverage automation to enhance that system and those processes, make sure that your people are governed and are actually using it and doing what they're supposed to do with the system that you put in play, making sure that everything's proactive, making sure that there's quality control through the entire process, making sure that they're monitoring the performance of that system, and then, of course, monitoring all the communication that comes through that system, right? So fulfillment and systems go hand in hand. And there's an old quote that says a good system beats a good person every time, because a system's not going to ask for a raise. A system is not going to ask for vacation. A system, if done properly, will run 24/7, 365. It'll get rid of all the waste, the admin, and all the BS that's going on in an organization and set that organization up for scale. So with bad systems, you're going to have bad fulfillment. With no systems, you're going to be running around in chaos every single day. So this is a real key component. In any high growth company that has front-end client acquisition down, this is the most biggest problem of all of them. Because without good systems, you have no data to make decisions off of. You think the solution is to hire more people. I need to hire more people. I need to hire more people. But here's the thing. If you have a bad process and you strap an automation to it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have a bad automated process. If you have a bad process and you strap a system to it, guess what you're going to have? A bad systemized process. Like, you have to do this stuff perfectly and set it up. And if you're not an expert in this, which I sure as hell am not, that's why I've partnered with people who are, you have to get these things in order or you're never going to grow. You're going to bottleneck and you're never going to be able to turn real revenue into profit. So that's important. So if right now you're having problems with fulfillment, the chances are it's because you have bad systems. Because an expert can come in and fix all that. Trust me, I've witnessed it firsthand. The sixth reason why 90% of customers fail is customer service. And when I mean customer service, customer service is tricky. And the customer is not always right. You hear that quote a lot. They're not always right. But what your job to do is exceed customers' expectations in everything you do. And in order to do that, you have to listen. You have to be an active listener. You have to listen to their problems. You have to let them communicate, let them talk. But the second thing that you've got to do is you've got to understand the same thing that got them to be your customer as far as sales, marketing, whatever you're doing to get them as a customer is the same psychology that's going to get them to the end of your product or service and make them successful. So you have to be a coach here just like you did on the sales call. You have to coach them. They don't know everything. They came to you as the subject matter expert. They're relying on you to do what's in their best interest to get them to their desired situation. It is your job to coach them. And as a part of being a coach, it will require being a person of influence and persuasion. You are going to have to persuade them and continue to influence them to make sure that they get to their desired situation. See, this is why I say sales is so important because it's in everything. It's in everything that you do in a business. A founder has to sell their C-suite on the vision. The C-suite has to sell their middle management on executing the vision. And they have to sell the culture, the morale, the goals, the vision, and everything else to everyone in the organization to keep everyone moving. See, sales is in everything. It's in customer service too. So it's very important that you are persuasive and you find persuasive people to be a part of your customer service team. The next step here is you have to communicate clearly with people. There needs to be milestones, proper expectations, and you need to communicate clearly with the client. Don't be broad. Pay attention to detail. Make sure you're putting windows in to set yourself up to win. If it's a super tight deadline, don't be a yes man. Don't let your mouth overload your back. Be a no man. Set realistic expectations. Say no. Explain to them that this is a process. Add a buffer in your timelines, your service delivery timelines, your product timelines. Add a buffer for a margin of error so you're not in a bad position with the client ever. This is all proactive stuff that you can do before. You don't have to constantly react, right? The next thing that I mentioned earlier is your bad customers, you're going to learn the most from. Unfortunately, majority of us are just too egotistic to listen. So when it comes to these bad customers, it's important that you are documenting your good experiences as well as your bad experiences. You need to document them both. See what went right. See what went wrong. See where you could have improved. See who on your team dropped the ball that made the customer experience bad. See what's going on all the way around the company so you can then improve your systems, your processes, your training, your team to make sure that these problems do not occur again. Because guess what happens? When you scale your revenue, guess what you scale with it? All the deficiencies that you have in your organization. If you are letting problems happen now, you're going to have those same exact problems when you scale. So it's better to just fix them now instead of being a victim and waiting until the problems become too big and too painful to solve. So make sure you're documenting all that. The next piece here, exceed expectations. If you don't have a product or service that can exceed expectations, you're not going to be in business very long. Like, you want to exceed expectations. You want to do good by people. That's how you get referrals. That's how you build a good name. That's how you build a good product. And that's how you stay in business past the 5 to 10 year mark. That's how you do not fall into the 90% of businesses that fail. You have to have a good product. So if you have a shit product, don't go sell somebody else's product who has a good product. Go market someone else's product who has a good product. But don't do it on your own. And if you do, okay, but make sure you adjust as the market tells you what you need to adjust to make it a good product. Right? Like, some products are never going to be perfect when they start. That's okay. But as long as you have good intentions, you want people to win, make sure you adjust for real feedback. And the last piece in this customer service tab is surveys. You need to survey your customers and get real-time feedback from them. Ask them about their sales call. Ask them about the onboarding process. Ask them about the timelines of your service. Ask them what you could improve. Shit, compensate them to provide you with this feedback, because this feedback will be the key to making your customers all successful, or at least a majority of them, right? So that is the 6th reason why businesses fail. They have shit customer service, right? The 7th reason why 90% of businesses fail is financials. Most important aspect. Because it doesn't matter if you have your lead gen dialed in, your sales are dialed in, your fulfillment's dialed in, everything's dialed in. If you don't understand true accounting and understand where all of your expenses are coming from and what's really going on in your organization, it's very hard to make a profit when you don't know what's going on. We all got into business for what? For freedom. What's the next reason why we got into business? For profit. Unless you're a mountain climber, you got VC backing, you're looking to take market share, build EBITDA, and sell a company for 10x EBITDA, and you don't really pray at the altar of profit, then I understand that. But if you're a freedom fighter, like majority of entrepreneurs are, who pray at the profit, or who pray at the altar of profit, then it's very important to protect your profit. And in order to do that, you have to have real accounting. So there's 2 forms of accounting. There's management accounting, which is cash flow accounting, inventory accounting, constraint accounting, account receivables accounting, and of course, budgeting, trends, and forecasting accounting, if you will. Now, when it comes to cash flow accounting, you have to have a system that helps you optimize for cash flow in your organization, so you always have liquid assets to cover short-term financial obligations. Cash flow is king. We've heard it time and time again. So it's very important that you're able to track that cash flow to make sure that you can pay your expenses, cover shipping cost, cover fulfillment cost, and make sure you have a real business. The second piece, when it comes to inventory accounting, if you are in a e-commerce business or you sell a physical product, it is very important to have a system that calculates and replaces your inventory before it's depleted. This system should also provide you with the amount of expense a company incurs by leaving their product on shelves and not selling them. There's a cost to that. There is a cost to storing product. There's a cost to not selling product. You need to calculate all that so you can rotate this into your financials. The third is constraint accounting. So you need a system to help you find constraints in your business and calculate these bottlenecks and find out what they're actually worth. Once you determine what they're actually worth and what they're costing you, you can actually see how they're impacting your revenue, your profit, and your cash flow. And once you find this out, you can weigh it out. What you'll often find is it costs less to fix it than it does to leave it. The reason why you think it's such a big problem is because you have no data and no real financials to justify the decision. So then everything you do is based off emotion. And then your financials suffer, your revenue suffers, your profit suffers, and you're out of business, right? So that's a very important aspect there. The next one is accounts receivables accounting. You need to have a system to help you manage your invoices and persuade customers to pay those invoices in time so you can optimize your cash conversion cycles. It's very important from contract, from checkout page, that you get paid so you can fulfill the service properly, right? Good deals are made in the beginning. Everybody has an obligation. You cannot be chasing money. You need to get paid when your contract says, or you need to get paid when whatever your product terms are. But you need to have some type of system to help you do that, where you're going to have a whole team that's going to make mistakes, have issues, trying to collect cash all the time, and it's going to provide a wacky customer experience, right? The next piece of this management accounting is budgeting, trend analysis, and forecasting. So it's very important that you create a system for your business that budgets and plans for your growth. Remember, there is a cost to growth. That growth costs money. If you want to double your revenue, you're going to have to spend double of what you spend now to get double the result. I think it's so crazy and so naive of people to think you can just double your revenue overnight without increasing your expenses whatsoever. Now, sure, you can do some LTV stuff, you can do some back-end stuff, but if you're focused on front-end client acquisition, anything you scale, everything scales with it. The deficiency scale with it, the cost scale with it, everything scales with it. So it's very important that you have a system so you can plan for that growth. And you need a system so you can make decisions based on data in the now. Data now, data today, data at the end of the week, data at the end of the month, data at the end of the quarter, and data at the end of the year. In order for you to make real financial decisions on behalf of your company that are accurate and based with good judgment, you will need true data to make those decisions. That's how you do not fall into the 90% of businesses that fail. You rely on data. And the next piece here is financial accounting. I almost skipped over that. This is very important too. So you've got management accounting and then you've got financial accounting. When it comes to financial accounting, this is cost accounting. So what you need to do is you need to have a system that can calculate variable and fixed cost so you know how to price your products and services. How many of you came up with the price of your product and services based off a theory, based off a limb, based off what your competitors are charging? How many of you truly know the fixed cost and the variable cost of your services? Great question, right? So that's cost accounting, very important. The next one is payroll accounting. You also need a damn system that can automate your entire process and payroll process without the need for admin work. People make mistakes. I've seen time and time again, Elite Software Automation, for example, build very, very complex payroll systems that are so effective and so accurate that know all the compliance, all the laws, and have good processes to where those systems can run and get a very successful outcome without having anybody run it. There's no need for someone to be sitting there doing payroll every single week. They have a system to do it. So it's very important that you have a system so you do not make these errors, right? And the last but not least in the financial accounting category is tax accounting. You also need a system that calculates the individual state sales tax and have a system that provides you with proactive tax accounting. So you're not struggling, going crazy, everybody's nuts when tax time comes. You need to have all that. And the system is how you fix these things. You cannot hire your way out of your problems. You can, but it's not efficient. People are not the only thing that fixes your problem. So you're in chaos every day when you're growing revenue, you're scaling. So you think more people. I just need more people like me, more people like me. But the truth is, You need real processes, real systems, and a real business, right? Strapping a person to a bad process just makes the person bad too. They can't effectively do their job because you as a founder have neglected to bring someone in to help with this. You as a founder have blamed to ask the questions, well, why is this? And get really deep and figure out why it truly is the way it is. Because if you ask stupid questions, you're going to get stupid answers. But if you ask good questions and you go deep inside and really look at cause and effect, you'll see that majority of the time these underlying problems, they're not what you think that they are. You see, all of our thoughts are based off of what? Our beliefs. So, bad belief system, we get bad thoughts. Good belief system, we get good thoughts. Well, here's the trick to this. If beliefs dictate thoughts, what does thoughts dictate? Action or inaction, right? So bad thoughts, bad action. Bad beliefs, bad thoughts, bad action. Good beliefs, good thoughts, good action, right? But see, all of us live in a different world because we all have different belief systems that provoke different thoughts, that provoke different actions, that then lead to a new perception, which ultimately creates our individual reality. So your beliefs may need to change. Your thoughts may need to change. You may need to become a completely different person in order to make it into the top 1% of businesses who make 8 figures a year. Instead of studying and listening to people who are unqualified to give you advice that are not in the 1% of those businesses who generate 8 figures a year, why would you listen to them when you know 90% of them are going to fail? What I would suggest you do is listen to the top 1% who's done the 10 million in revenue. Study them. Study their personality. Study their sales. Study their marketing. Study their business. Do competitive market research. Find customers. Interview their customers. Really figure out what they have figured out. And understand that they had to become a different person to get to that result, and you will too. That's the evolution. In order to evolve, you gotta die. The old you has to die so you can become the new you. And that is the other problem with businesses today. People think it's the result. It's not the result. You have to become the person to get the result. And in order to do that, you got to surround yourself with people who are getting the result and being the people to get the result and who've continued to get the result. The problem that I have with marketing agencies in today's world is you have unqualified people giving unqualified advice. They have no revenue and they're teaching you how to generate revenue. They have no funnel and they're talking to you about how to build a funnel. They've never ran paid traffic for themselves and they're selling you on running paid traffic. You see my problem with all this? It's crazy, right? So the 8th reason, the last reason why a lot of businesses fail, and I have experienced this firsthand with very, very explosive growth companies. Companies that had gone from doing a couple million a year to doing multiple tens of millions of dollars a year in a very short time period. And this is the most important thing once you get big. Like at that 10 million mark, leadership is critical. And if you have a founder in play who is real gritty, they can get it to that $10 million mark. But the problem of it is what gets you to 10 million typically doesn't get you to 100 million. It's a completely different guy. So like if you look at the story of Uber, Travis, he was a great guy to get the business up. Nobody else could have done it because he was so disagreeable. He was a disruptor. He scored very low in neuroticism. He was very conscientiousness. He was very extroverted. He could sell a vision, sell a path. He was a leader with some issues, if you will, but it got them to where they needed to go. His problem was his ego. He had that founder syndrome, right? And he did stuff that he shouldn't have done that ended up causing him to exit Uber, but he still walked away with billions of dollars, right? But in his startup phase, when The county came to him and said, hey, we're shutting you down. Here's a cease and desist letter. We're going to give you a $3,000 fine for every Uber that's on the street every single day. Guess what he did? Majority of people would have said, my God, we got to shut this whole business down. We're done. That's what majority of people would have done. You know what he did? He threw it in a trash can, pissed on the paper, and said, we're disruptors. Screw them. Let's keep going. Takes a weird personality temperament to make it through that phase, right? But when it comes to leadership, what you've got to understand is to be a good leader, the first step is you can't be a victim. If you want to be a good leader, you have to have extreme ownership. It's all cause and effect. Everything's your fault. If you go down the street tomorrow and you leave at 9:15 and you get rear-ended, you've got to be the type of person that says, shit, man, I left at 9:15. I should have left at 9:03. It's my fault I got rear-ended. That's the type of ownership that you have to have. Because when you play a victim, you lose all of your power. You have absolutely zero control to empower you and improve your situation because you've put it into a third party. It's the politics, it's the boss, it's the compliance. You blame something you got no control over. So you can't empower yourself. You're just disempowering yourself, right? So extreme ownership is important to being a good leader. And you need to instill that into your people to where you can get rid of that victim mentality. It's like a plague in an organization. You want to get rid of that, right? The second thing to be a good leader is you have to understand, in order to be a good leader, you've got to want the best for your people. And you have to be a good coach. You've got to challenge them. You've got to elevate them. You've got to get them to be something they've never been before, to get something they've never got before, which is the promotion, the income, the whatever that they're looking for. So you have to understand what their current situation is in their life, what their desired situation is. And you as a leader, you've got to come in and help mold them and get them to their desired situation. Now that's very difficult to do, but it takes a good performance coach to do that. So remember, you've got to role model your way to the top. And in order to be a good coach, you've got to coach people. You've got to invest the time with them. I see so many companies go out and they hire people cheap. And then they don't perform well and they say, well, everybody sucks. Well, yeah, they suck because you paid below industry average and you didn't train them. What do you expect? Like there's two ways you hire people. You hire them cheap with no training and then you have to train them. Or you hire them super expensive with tons of experience and training and then you have to listen to them. There's only two ways to do it. But everybody wants to blame the people because they're not getting deep enough to the root cause of the problem, right? So you got to be a good coach. The third thing is you have to value people. Remember, people make up companies. Companies don't make up companies. People make these companies run. A person came up with the idea. A person innovated the product. A person dealt with the sacrifice, the pain. A person raised the capital. A person got the funding. A person decided what marketing channels to run. A person trained the salespeople. A person brought in the right people to do the accounting. A person did all of that. Or a group of people did all of that, right? So you got to value people. And you got to want the best for people. If you are a founder who hates people, that is a bottleneck that you're going to have to deal with. And you're going to have to find somebody who can be the person that rallies these folks, that cares about people. Right? Very important. So remember that. Value people. People don't make up companies don't make up companies. People do. The next piece is you've got to be able to hold yourself accountable. If you can't hold yourself accountable, if you have no discipline, if you don't know how to say no, if you are OCD, if you don't know how to manage a calendar, guess what your people are going to learn from you? How to do the same thing that you're doing. So it's very important that you hold yourself accountable and then you hold other people accountable. If they say they're going to do something and don't do it, you need to hold them accountable to it. You need to find out why they didn't do it. A lot of the times people will say, I just didn't get it done. But what you'll quickly find is they didn't have the information or the confidence to get it done. So they prioritized something else over what you requested them to do because they were confused. They had lack of information, so they chose to go to what they wanted to get it done because they knew they could exceed expectations there. So it's not so black and white. There's always a gray here. But remember, hold people accountable. The next step here is always be honest and transparent. Be honest with your people. Be transparent with your people. Celebrate their wins. Talk about their losses. Really explain and understand why these things are happening. See, people will say everything happens for a reason. Yeah, you know what the reason is? The reason is you. Because everything worthwhile in this world comes from you. Comes from sacrifice, comes from pursuing something. It comes from you. So your bank account today is a reflection of you. Your bank account in 10 years will be a reflection of you. Your relationships are a reflection of you. The drama that you have or do not have in your life are a reflection of you. You have to own that, right? So make sure that you're honest, you're transparent, and be someone who communicates that and is honest with people. Don't BS. Just be straight to the point. The next piece here is you want to actively listen. You got to listen to people. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen to them. They will tell you their problems. Their problems will lead to a solution if you know what you're doing. And then you can fix these issues and continue to get them to enhance, elevate, and increase to where they become top performers and top people in your organization. But if you don't listen, you're never going to know, right? Don't make assumptions. Everyone in this world, I don't care who you are, everyone wakes up and says, I want to be great. There's not one person that wakes up and says, today, I want to destroy everything. I want to blow up my job, blow up my marriage, get a bunch of addictions, go gamble my entire savings away. Nobody does that, right? Everyone wants to be great. So keep that in mind. Before you start blaming people, just take a look at yourself. Because they might want to be great, you just might not be given the resources to make them great, right? The next thing here is making sure that you promote your vision with certainty. You have to have certainty to promote a team, to get people to rally towards your goal, to really innovate. You have to be certain in yourself. If you are uncertain, people are going to pick up on that uncertainty. Okay? So you need to make sure you're certain in what you do and selling your vision to your team. It's very important. And the next thing, and the final thing of leadership, is display some courage. Be a courageous person. Don't run from conflict. Remember, you got to role model your way to the top. People are going to mirror what you do. People mirror everyone around them. It's psychology. It happens everywhere you go. So in an organization, they're going to do the same thing. So if the founder is chaotic, if the founder acts off impulse and emotion, if the founder is constantly reacting and performing an instant gratification while sacrificing delayed gratification, which is truly going to get the company to where it goes, guess what the people are going to do within it? They're going to do the same things. They're going to mirror what's ever in their environment. So it's very important that you understand. Role model your way to the top. Don't run from conflict. Overcome it. Don't get mad at problems. There's only solutions. Like, those are the things that you have to do to have good leadership in an organization. Now, this is my take on why 90% of businesses fail. And I've seen dozens of them that have certain pieces of this figured out. Their marketing may be dialed in, their sales may be dialed in, but their back end's a shit show. Or they have an exceptionally good back end, great product. They got the best thing in the world, but nobody knows about the product because they can't market and sell. So it's a very complicated thing. And the odds are, quite frankly, stacked against anyone who's getting into business for themselves. But I am telling you today, if you take these strategies and you are watching this video and you start at 1 and you go through that big 5 type indicator that's in the description of this video and you really understand yourself and you say, okay, I'm not too high in neuroticism. That's a start. I score high in consciousness. That's great. You know, I'm extroverted. Cool. That's good. I'm introverted. Maybe I need to go find someone who's extroverted to help me with people. Or, I'm agreeable, whatever. You need to understand yourself. So that's the first step in this process. Before you go in and building a business, make sure you have the right personality facets to do it, because it's your life. Our time here is finite. Who wants to spend 10 years doing something that they're going to be miserable and eventually give up because they don't have the drive, the will, or the passion to make it work? You're doing yourself a disservice. So just learn about yourself first. That will be in the description of this video. Once you know about yourself, before you spend too much on the back end, get proof of concept and market demand. Focus on your marketing. Put your cash, put your investment, put all that there. Get a professionally built sales funnel done by an expert. Get the automation written by professional copywriters. Get your CRM set up to where you have a centralized dashboard to make decisions around your marketing. And then find some traffic partners, real traffic partners that run real campaigns for themselves and real campaigns for the clients like we do at luxvani.com to support you. That's option number one. That's the fastest option if you want to get the result the quickest. Option number two is you can go figure out how to trial, error, and experiment and learn all this yourself and try to employ it. But the fact of the matter is you're trying to be a founder, right? You don't need to do all this. Automate, delegate, eliminate. 3 words to live by. So remember that. And then once you get your marketing dialed in, focus on your sales. If you got people who are opting in that are not scheduling a call to learn more about your services, why isn't someone calling all those opt-ins to get them booked? Why don't you have a custom AI bot like we built through ChatGPT with open source code over at luxvani.com to basically become an SDR and reach out to all these people on your behalf? Ask them qualifying questions. Talk about pricing. Get them on a call. Why aren't you doing any of that? Very important. So you need to focus on the sales. The fourth thing here is once you get through the sales, now you got the personality, you got the marketing dialed in, you got closers having fun, doing their thing, enjoying themselves, deals are being closed, revenue's in the door. You got to focus on that onboarding. Set those expectations. Remain compliant to your contract and your legal obligations. Make sure that you are very clear with the customer. Make sure that you have confidence with the customer. Make sure that there's a connection, and make sure they know about your culture, your mission, your values, what you bring to the table, right? Once you get your onboarding dialed in, boom, now all of a sudden we got revenue, we got customers, people are being onboarded, things are getting crazy. We need better systems, right? This is when that fulfillment and systems comes in. This is how you're going to increase your lifetime value per customer. This is how you're going to increase to your profit margin. This is how you're going to build a real viable business. Systems, fulfillment, and systems. So you need those SOPs. You need a professional to come in and write all those SOPs that knows what the hell they're doing. You've never done it before, which is why it's chaos. You need to find someone who has. We can support you with this. We have a great partner, Elite Software Automation. They will completely blow your mind on this aspect. They've done it for me. They've done it for dozens of our clients, and I know they'll do it for you. But you need to get all this done. You need your processes built. You need a system to run those processes. You need automation to enhance those processes. You need a way to govern those processes. You need all of this built so your fulfillment is top notch. You can deliver products faster. You can deliver services faster. You can do what takes your competitor a month to do in a week because you have systems that support it and you're not making all these human errors. Once you get that fulfillment and that's the system dialed in, then you got to get into that customer service. How do we turn every customer into a referral partner? How do we make sure every customer is happy and leaves a review? There's systems that do all this for you as well. Like I can show you a beautiful system in Go High Level, which is completely automated, that populates right to a Google review. That is a system that runs an automation that does all of these reviews for us. You see what I'm saying? So you got to have good customer service too. You got to listen. You got to coach. You got to be persuasive. You got to document the good and the bad. Make sure you document in the process. You got to exceed expectations, and you got to survey your customers. And then once you get that done, Really dial into those financials. Worry about that management accounting. Worry about that financial accounting. And then last but not least, now you got the front end dialed, you got the systems dialed, your financials are clean, you're making decisions based off true data. Now you got to lead, you got to inspire, and you got to elevate. It's all about leadership. So this is my take. Been in business for a long time, built a lot of super successful companies. And I'm going to tell you right now, even a lot of companies that are doing, 1% of businesses in the U.S. that are doing over 10 million a year. I've worked with many of them that are doing 40, 50, 100, 250, 500. The list goes on and on and on. Even some of these very large companies don't have all these things figured out. So in order to stack the deck in your favor, it's important that you do. It will give you a huge edge over all of your competition, and it will really help you be successful. So if you need help with any of this stuff, I'm talking about front-end client acquisition, back-end systems, any of this stuff, head over to luxvani.com. We're not everybody's cup of tea. We don't work with people with limiting beliefs. If you don't have a real marketing budget, we're not wizards. We need some money to work with. This is not spend $2 and make $1 million. There's no make money online buttons that you click and your bank account just has 10 million bucks in it. That stuff doesn't exist, okay? So if you have realistic expectations, you got a business. You want to scale the front end. Maybe you want to optimize the back end. Head over to luxvani.com, schedule a call with us. We'll be happy to talk about your business. We'll be happy to talk about what you got going on, how we can increase the revenue on the front end and the profit, how we can help you scale, how we can get customers in the door, or maybe you're someone that needs help from one of our referral partners, like Elite Software Automation, who may be able to come into the back end of your business and really optimize your business so you can operate from a place of order as opposed to chaos and build a good, viable business. Those are all things we can do for you. But what we can't do for you is make you take action. So this video is just the truth. It's real statistics. I'm sure it's going to hurt our sales. I don't really give a damn because I'm being authentic and being truthful of what it takes to really win. So if you like this video, you want help, you want some support, we're happy to help you. But again, I can't make you take action. You can fall into the 90% of businesses who fail, or you cannot. That choice is yours. But be great. Enjoy the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. And remember, you're just one funnel away. Talk soon. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be great. Bye-bye.